Are you hoping to get one of the rarest titles in the game? Or perhaps wanting to farm some of these elegant themed weapon glams? Or perhaps looking for challenging content you can do solo? If so, you might be interested in Eureka Orthos. If you're extremely new to the Deep Dungeon system, I recommend you first watch my Ultimate Deep Dungeon Starter Guide, linked in the description. If you're here to learn how to progress Eureka Orthos floors 1 to 100 solo, you're at the right place. This guide is going to help you understand how to best approach EO solo progression, covering each different floor set through the lens of multiple different roles. Since Eureka Orthos is, for the most part, very well balanced across different job options, I won't be focusing on any individual jobs in this guide, at least when it comes to the title progression. Once you're ready with your Aetherpool, feel free to progress for the title on any job of your choosing. Here's an overview of what this guide covers, and don't forget to use the timestamps to jump around as you need. Chapter 1 covers some unique aspects of this third iteration of the Deep Dungeon, such as EO-specific protomanders, dread beasts, demi-clones, and unlock requirements. It also covers some general Deep Dungeon tips for progression, which will be useful to check out if this is your first Deep Dungeon to dive into for the achievements. Chapter 2 covers the tips about how to get through the floors 1 to 30 solo, starting from 0 Aetherpool. Chapter 3 covers Aetherpool farming and how to best prepare for the ranking floors. Chapters 4 to 10 cover each floor set from 31 to 100, respectively. These will go into the enemy details, boss details, and tips about managing your protomanders. With that in mind, let's get things started. To unlock Eureka Orthos, you need to have Endwalker base expansion finished, as well as go through the first 50 floors of the Palace of the Dead. If you still need to do that part, I cover this process in my Ultimate Deep Dungeon Starter Guide, available in the description. You can enter EO as any job level 81 or higher. Inside, you'll be using a specialized gearing system called Aetherpool Arm and Armor. You'll be getting real job experience whenever you finish each floor set, but inside you'll be gaining dungeon progression experience, slowly unlocking your abilities from 81 to 90. Since this is Endwalker content, it is synced to that expansion, so you can only use your abilities learned by level 90. The unlock quest, Delve into Myth, is located in Mordona. After unlocking it, you'll be able to enter EO by speaking to Cthulhu at the bottom of the Crystal Tower stairs. It is also worth noting that you can unlock the quick teleport access to EO by speaking with Burnell in Revenant's Toll after you initially unlock the dungeon. When first starting out, you'll need to start from floor 1 and build up your Aetherpool while doing the story floors up to floor 30. The Aetherpool you've built up in Palace doesn't matter here. Eureka Orthos has its own separate system. Once you finish this initial part, you'll get another option for entering future Eureka Orthos runs, starting from floor 21. If you're interested in the Once and Future title achievement specifically, you'll need to start your file at floor 1 each time once you're ready to progress to the end. If you start from floor 21, you can still reach floor 100 and get a clear reward, but you won't get that specific title achievement. Once you're ready to start going beyond floor 30 and attempting your clear, I would still recommend starting each file from 1. The reason for this is twofold. First, floors 1 to 20 have a decent chance of dropping rarer protomanders such as Raising or Dread, which can be helpful to save for later. Second, all of the floor sets are quite tanky, so starting later for practice reasons only will make you go slower for a while, as your inventory is empty. If you've started from floor 1, you'll likely reach floor 21 checkpoint already with a decently filled inventory of strengths, steals, storms, flights, and other useful protomanders that can help you speed up overall. At the end of the day though, it is your choice. Eureka Orthos is somewhat unique among other deep dungeons in a sense that it feels much more evened out in difficulty across all of the floor sets. Enemies cannot critical hit you, which means incoming damage shouldn't surprise you too often. Monsters have relatively consistent HP pool and damage output, and their difficulty often lies in having to learn their mechanics ahead of time. Many people call this place the Raider's Deep Dungeon, as it relies more on you learning the mechanics than focusing on crowd control and mitigating auto attacks. The telegraphs in Eureka Orthos are incredibly quick, and they are mostly lethal. You essentially want to remember, as much as you can, what each enemy does and anticipate the AoE ahead of time to avoid dying. Some players find this really difficult, while others find it bit easier than Palace or Heaven High, where the higher danger is in surviving their auto attacks. While learning, it is worth following a guide or simply using a raising early on, as well as Lethargy and EO-specific Protomander. Every deep dungeon shares the majority of the Pomander pool, but they each have 3 Pomanders that are unique. In Eureka Orthos, these are called Protomanders, and they are Storms, Lethargy, and Dread. As mentioned earlier, Lethargy is a very useful learning Protomander. It slows all enemies' abilities and auto attack speed by a lot. This affects all of the monsters currently available on the floor, so it is best used early upon entering a specific floor. Its duration is 10 minutes. The slow effect is so strong that it can effectively be used as an alternative to steal, and it is the only way to see some of the telegraphs for long enough to react to them naturally. Lethargy does not work on bosses. Dread is a transformation pomander that lasts for 60 seconds, and it comes with 2 abilities. Roto Smash will one-shot every enemy you hit. It is the same as Rage from Palace of the Dead. It is working through knocking enemies away, so a no-knockback floor enchantment will cancel out this insta-kill value. The other ability is Wrecking Ball, an AoE cast that inflicts up to 5 stacks of vulnerability, lasting for 90 seconds. It is essentially like Lust from Palace of the Dead. Since the cast doesn't knock enemies away, it won't be affected by the no-knockback penalty, meaning Dread can still be useful even on those kinds of floors. Roto Smash doesn't work on bosses or Dread beasts, which we'll talk about more soon, but Wrecking Ball does. Storms is a very interesting Protomander. It reduces all of the currently available enemies on the floor to a single-digit HP value. During normal floor circumstances, enemies will start regaining their health back 1 GCD at a time unless they are engaged in combat. So, you could pull a lot of enemies, use the storms, and then simply one-shot them all with an AoE, using this as a floor wipe. If not in combat, enemies will have low enough HP for a brief time to not aggro while you're passing by, which can be used as a short-term concealment trick when trying to avoid monsters. Storms interacts with a no auto-heal enchantment, making it extremely worthy on those kinds of floors. Enemies generally won't regain their HP back, and they will also never aggro to you as you're moving around. It is worth keeping in mind the Sasquatches on 71 to 80 floor set, as they can heal themselves out of combat with their Ripe Banana ability. Also, every once in a while, the enemy will cheat and be stuck in one of the walls, which somehow protects it from storms. Storms doesn't work on bosses, and it won't be retroactively applied to mimics from chests you have yet to open, newly spawned luring trap monsters, or respawns. In Eureka Orthos, silver chests can bring Aetherpool buffs and explosions, but they can also drop very useful companions, demiclones. Doga, Une, and Onion Knight are the 3 demiclones you can summon in EO, each lasting only for the floor where you summoned it. Une is a healing-focused demiclone. She does some damage to the monsters, but it's not much higher than any healing job. She'll primarily focus on healing you, in and outside of combat, if your health is not maxed. Doga is a mage, is doing significantly more damage than Une, and is also petrifying enemies during his rotation, stopping them from executing actions for a while. This petrification effect generally interrupts enemies from executing their mechanics till the end, resetting their rotation after the effect goes off. Be vigilant to react to potential mechanics immediately after the petrification effect goes off, as sometimes the monsters don't leave you much breathing room to react. Onion Knight is an all-rounder, but mostly big DPS dealer who can also heal you if your health drops below 50%, though this is a bit hard to rely on. He is mostly effective as a quick boss killer, but can also be used to significantly speed up killing the enemies on the regular floors. You cannot affect demiclone abilities directly. They behave similarly to the Trust AI, where they simply go through their rotation at a preordained pace. What makes them different from Trust is that they'll only start attacking once you start attacking. Aggro alone won't activate them. You can carry a maximum of 3 demiclones at a time, and if you have one summoned already, you cannot replace it or dismiss it to summon another one. For example, if you have summoned Une early on the floor, then capped on your 3 demiclone spots with several Dogas, only to find an additional Onion Knight on the floor, you won't be able to dismiss your Une or exchange one of the Dogas for this newly found Onion Knight. Onion Knight will have to remain in the silver chest. The only way to technically do that would be to die and revive with the raising, as demiclones get dismissed upon your death. Also, it's worth noting that summoning a demiclone puts you into a brief animation lock, which doesn't give you invulnerability. In other words, be very careful not to be summoning any demiclones during combat or near an enemy that could one-shot you out of combat while you're stuck in this animation. Dread Beasts are unique monster spawns unique to Eureka Orthos. There are 3 types you can run into, and there can only be 1 per floor. They will never be a type of respawn, nor mandatory to kill to progress through the key. Killing a Dread Beast will give you a 30-minute long buff, but these guys come with a hefty HP pull, and they hit incredibly hard, with auto attack damage about 30 times higher than other enemies on the floor set. They can only be killed with a Storm's Protomander, or by utilizing landmines together with a Witching Commander. Mercidian Clone will give a 10% damage buff, Demi Kochma will give a 10% defense buff, and Lamia Queen will give a region buff. All of these last 30 minutes and only during the current floor set. Lamia Queen does an interesting ability upon the pull, a gaze mechanic that inflicts 1 minute long petrification to everyone who's looking at her, including the enemies. This mechanic is, however, really difficult to use to your advantage. All of the Dread Beasts have sight aggro, meaning you can sneak behind them safely. Upon entering any floor that has a Dread Beast, you'll be met with a notification about them being present, so you can take extra care while traversing. When it comes to healing potions, Eureka Orthos drops hyper potions, which will be great to have on hand. As usual with deep dungeons, there's also a special kind of sustaining potion called Orthos potions, which give you a 30-second regen effect. You can exchange these from Aetherpool fragments, which drop from bronze treasure coffers and specific bosses. Other than potions, it's worth having some food on hand and popping it before each floor set to ensure you have some extra HP inside. As for the food buff stats, direct hit is usually welcome. The most important thing is that extra bit of HP you get from vitality on any food. You can also prepare some tinctures to help you speed up the DPS on bosses, or specifically on healers, if you're running this dungeon as a healer job. However, these are not necessary, and put your Orthos potion on cooldown, so should be used with caution. There are a few different macros you can prepare in your macro inventory and set them on your hotbar to help with EO progression. They'll be shown on the screen, and also there's a doc linked in the description where you can copy them from. The first is the macro that gets you out of dread. This can be extremely helpful when you need to drop the transformation sooner for healing purposes. You can also prepare this macro to set yourself the once and future title when you get your clear, while still in the dungeon. Whether you use king or queen depends on your character's gender. When it comes to the HUD layout, you can help yourself by splitting the buff window section and making this part larger and more centered somewhere on the screen, where you'll be able to easily notice it. This will show you floor buffs and debuffs, POC status, and other vulnerabilities you're currently enduring. You can also place Howling Fist or Feint on a shared hotbar somewhere, so you can check the aggro range for sight and proximity monsters. Their range is about 9.5 yalms, while these skills have 10 yalm range, so as long as they have a little X marker on them, you're out of range. As soon as the X disappears, it means a step forward will aggro the enemy. Even though I'll be getting into more and more specifics as we go through the guide, there are some general gameplay tips I can give you for playing better. Try to keep these in mind as you go through any of the sets, but especially the later ones. Crowd control. All of the jobs have some form of crowd control abilities such as sleep, stun, interject, leg raise, arm's length, etc. Learn what your job of choice has to offer in this regard and use those abilities often. They may not be useful in most of the other Final Fantasy XIV content, but they sure are useful here. Any extra mitigation you can achieve is going to help you long term. It is worth knowing that mimics in EO are vulnerable to slow from arm's length, unlike any other deep dungeon mimics before them. Plan ahead. The further you go in, the more important time management becomes. Try to think about what you're going to pull and where you're going to go next while you're still in combat. The less time you spend exclusively moving around and thinking, the better you'll manage the overall floor set timer. Chests are almost always worth opening. In general, you need items to clear, and opening chests will get you those items. Avoiding chests in fear of mimics is a bad idea usually. Try to open chests before the key opens though. Every mimic you get can be a few minutes of lost time, so if this time is crucial to you, don't risk it if the key is already open. Be wary of your time. Leaving the 6th floor of a set with 30 or more minutes left on your timer usually means you're going at a comfortable pace. Most bosses require 7 to 10 minutes, so don't lose track of time and use some time-saving items occasionally. It is often a good idea to use these items earlier in the floor set so you have more room to make non-forced decisions later and to avoid overcapping. Try to remember enemy aggro types. Knowing if an enemy notices you via sight, sound, or mere proximity helps a lot. It is worth checking the DDCompendium before each floor set while you're learning this. Knowing what you can avoid and what you can't will help you plan and prioritize enemies on the floor better. Keep an eye on enemy movement. It is always worth keeping your eye on your surroundings, making sure no patrol is about to approach and surprise you. Enemies usually move every 10 to 30 seconds, and in most cases, they'll turn around to move in the opposite direction from when they were facing. If an enemy is blocking your way out, you can give it some time to move before running into the room. Line of sighting. Eureka Orthos has many instances where mechanics are supposed to be avoided by breaking the line of sight between you and the monster, especially in its middle section. It is mostly simple things. You notice a cast bar, you hide behind the wall. Many abilities, auto attacks, and draw-in effects can be avoided by utilizing the walls of this deep dungeon. For each floor set, I'll mention relevant monsters whose abilities should or can be avoided this way, so try to remember those as you go, and position yourself close to some kind of a wall in preparation for them. Kiting and slide casting. If enemies are unable to hit you, naturally, you'll be able to survive longer. Kiting means keeping distance from the enemy, so they waste time following you instead of auto-attacking you all the time. Jobs that are great with movement can do this in most floor sets. In Eureka Orthos specifically, many enemies do large AoEs that are difficult to deal with if you are too far away, so try to often roam around max melee range so you can adjust quicker. For casters and healers, some amount of kiting is possible if you can utilize slide casting well. In Final Fantasy XIV, whenever your cast hits about the last 30% of the cast bar, you're able to move without cancelling the cast. This is called slide casting, and you can use any emote icon to help you practice the right timing, as the emote will light up when you're ready to move. Legacy movement. In Final Fantasy XIV, we have standard and legacy camera options available. While standard movement is fine for a deep dungeon, if you're planning on using a ranged job, it's heavily advised to use legacy camera. You need to be able to move camera around you, check for patrols, and plan where to go next. If using standard, consider this when choosing your job. Landmine traps appear on some floors more frequently, allowing us to potentially utilize them to our advantage. Tanks and healers can benefit from this the most, as you can help yourself with invulnerability and shields. I'll be mentioning potential landmine play spots in the later section of the guide when relevant. While landmine plays aren't mandatory to learn for clearing, tanks and healers struggle with time management without them, so it's worth practicing this on lower floors and trying it out. The general idea is gather a bunch of enemies around and kite them towards a visible landmine you've uncovered with sight. Usually you want at least 7 to 8 monsters, as this is the average amount of enemies needed to unlock the key forward, but you can also do several smaller landmine plays to save time if there are more landmines available on the floor. Move around the room in a wide circle to mitigate some damage and to make sure every monster is gathered close by. For safety reasons, you'll then use a witching or a lethargy. It helps to have a steel and strength active to reduce the incoming damage and ensure you do enough damage to the monsters to finish them off after the landmine explosion. Pop some shields or invulnerability, prepare another mitigation, and use it as you step into a trap. Move away from the enemies briefly. Pop a potion of any kind or a heal and start AoEing the monsters. Since this is scary and requires some practice, it is recommended to not do this without a raising active. I've linked some additional guides in the description that can help as additional learning material. Similar to other deep dungeons, Eureka Orthos is split into 2 sections, story floors and ranking floors. Story floors are 1 to 30, and once you finish these, you unlock access to the 21 to 30 checkpoint, which you can repeatedly use for leveling side jobs or farming Aetherpool or Aetherpool fragments for Orthos potions. Ranking floors are 31 plus. You can only enter these in a fixed party, either solo or with other players, and the entry isn't allowed if you've seen a duty fail notification during that save slot file. Since finishing 1 to 50 of Palace of the Dead is a mandatory step for unlocking EO, you're likely already aware of Aetherpool farming. Our first goal here is to unlock the checkpoint, farm some Aetherpool, and then move onwards to the progression of the ranking floors. The first 30 floors of EO are actually rather challenging, considering that enemies have relatively large health pools and can one-shot you through mechanics you may not expect as you're learning the content. This chapter will, hopefully, help with that preparation. As usual, if you can, try to find a steady group to help you get through 1 to 30 more quickly and safely. For that, either ask your friends, set up a party finder, or try to find a group in one of the Discords linked in the description. If going with the group is not an option, resume following this chapter. If you get through the checkpoint with the group, feel free to skip to the next chapter, Aetherpool farming. Going through 1 to 30 alone will last you about 2 to 3 hours, depending on luck and efficiency. You can safely assume that floors 1 to 10 will actually be the most challenging, while 11 to 30 should go much more smoothly since you've already got some items in your inventory. To combat 1 to 10 successfully, you really want to pick a good starting job. Since you're starting at level 81, you should mainly consider your level 81 to 86 abilities when you're just starting out with Eureka Orthos. That's the range you should expect to meet at floors 1 to 10. Everything on the floors is tanky, but the incoming damage is generally manageable on any job. However, when you're starting a file with 0 Aetherpool or Orthos potions, as you are, the boss at level 10 will be an issue to many jobs who do not have enough of their own sustainability to survive it. My recommendations would be to take any of the healers, any of the tanks, or red mage or samurai when it comes to DPS. Summoner and Reaper are also relatively decent options, though they require a good amount of kiting and a polished rotation. But other than that, all of the other jobs will struggle on said boss. I highly advise not to start your Eureka Orthos journey with a physical range job, Pictomancer, or Black Mage. If you want to learn more and see how these different jobs look like on the boss with low Aetherpool, I highly recommend checking out Angelus Demoness' video where he explicitly tested all of the jobs in these starting circumstances. A link is in the description. There's a chance on any job that you find Une Demiclone, which can sustain you, but this is a very risky strategy that I wouldn't want to rely on. To expand a bit on my recommendations, Red Mage can heal itself rather well with Vercure, while Samurai gets a healing ability Tengetsu at level 82. Pairing that with Bloodbath and Second Wind, along with a few hyper potions you'll probably get along the way, Samurai can sustain itself between raid wides rather well. Both of these jobs are comfortable on the floors themselves as long as you're doing single pulls and staying in hallways safe from too many respawns. Healers are extremely comfortable and decently quick if you're comfortable doing multiples on the floors. With single pulling, they may start struggling for time. Multipulling can be scary while you're not sure what each enemy does, which hopefully the upcoming chapter can help with. Tanks can play it extremely safe, warrior especially. Sustainability isn't an issue and they allow for some multipulling as well, especially with all of your cooldowns ready and some Protomander usage. They will likely spend more time on this floor set than a DPS, but ultimately are a lot safer to play, so the choice is yours. Generally, hugging the walls is rather safe here, but you still want to aim to fight enemies from the hallways just to be safe. Floors 4 to 7 usually offer the most challenge, and the boss can last a relatively long time, about 7 to 8 minutes on average, without using demiclones. Ideally, you want to fish out a strength and a steel for the boss to save you time, sanity, and potions. If you get any demiclone, feel free to use it on the boss as well. Beware that the respawn time on this set is 1 minute, which is very quick considering how long it can take you to kill each enemy, meaning you likely won't full kill these floors before moving out to the next one. Try to get to at least level 85 or 86 before you attempt the boss. Floors 1 to 6 will not contain any demiclones in silver chests, nor will they contain any storms, raising, or dread in gold chests. All of these things can start dropping from floor 7 onwards. You'll want to use fortunes and affluences if you get any for floors 7 to 9 to maximize your chances of getting some useful protomanders. You won't find any Aetherpool fragments this set, meaning no chance to obtain Orthos potions yet. Mimics on this set are in bronze chests, starting from floor 7 and are stunned. Also, even floor 2 can meet you with some nasty debuffs applied to it, like no item debuff, which won't allow you to use any of the items you find or potions. If you happen to enter a floor 2 that looks disgusting, whether for debuffs or lack of any kind of treasure coffers, feel free to reset the file and go again. Since you're starting at level 81, your goal on this floor set is to kill as many enemies as possible so you get your level as high as you can, while also not timing out on the boss. You can also meet a dread beast, starting from floor 1, 1, where they are literally impossible to kill as no storms can drop yet. Remember that they are side aggro and avoid them. A reminder, floor set 1 to 10 is the most challenging out of the 3 story floor sets. If you can clear this one, you'll be able to clear the next 2, and likely much easier as you'll have more items to rely on. On this floor set, the most dangerous enemies are grenades and behemoths. Take notice of the proximity and side monsters on the overlay so you can easily focus them or avoid if needed. Grenades are the first enemy to greet you with an EOS special, delayed quick telegraphs that are impossible to avoid if you don't anticipate them in advance. Big Burst is a small round telegraph around the grenade, and you need to move as soon as you see it being cast. If you get caught in it, you'll die. You can stun this as well if you have a stun. Behemoths are relatively easy to fight, but can surprise you a bit. They will start the fight with a Wild Horn, a knockback that can create issues for you if you get pushed into a trap or another monster. So be mindful to either have your back to the wall when pulling one, or apply a shield or surecast arm's length as you pull. At 40% HP, Behemoth will start casting Ecliptic Meteor, a huge AoE in Rage that will kill you if you don't kill him first, or line of sight the attack by hiding behind the wall. The cast is relatively quick, and while your Aetherpool is low, make sure to fight Behemoths only near walls you can hide behind. Both bombs and Behemoths have side aggro, but they make up the majority of enemies on floors 3 to 7, so avoiding them likely won't be an option. These boots are made for walking. You'll either toggle walk to avoid their aggro, or you'll quickly get hit by the Terror Touch, which slows you down for half a minute. They are easy to deal with, but can make avoiding other AoEs more challenging, so take care. It is worth knowing that a Terror Touch can be stunned, interrupted, or shielded to avoid the disease. The rest of the enemies in this set are quite simple, yet tanky, so deal with them one by one and respect the telegraph mechanics. Mandragora is a relatively simple boss which inflicts a lot of unavoidable damage during its raid-wide and proximity attacks, so being on a job that can sustain itself really helps while your Aetherpool is low. We discussed those options in the recommended jobs chapter, so return there if you need a recommendation. Don't forget to use the strength and the steel, and if you happen to have multiple demiclones to choose from, I advise using Une or Onion Knight for healing reasons. Authoritative Shriek will activate several landmines randomly, but one under you will always activate, so always prepare to move to one of the adjacent tiles. Mandra's Storm is a proximity damage raid-wide. Get away about half of the arena width to get minimum damage from it. Mandra's Shock will activate landmines in numbered row order. Stand in the 3rd row and move into the 1st after the 1st explodes to be safe. It is a very repetitive fight, and having a steel and a strength is highly recommended. If you happen to have a demiclone of any kind, use it at the beginning of the fight, before pulling the boss. Use your self-sustaining abilities and potions after Mandra's Storm, and do your best not to get hit by avoidable mechanics. You can reduce a lot of incoming damage by kiting the boss a little bit during the times while you're waiting for a potion or a healing ability to come off cooldown. Once this boss is down, the hardest is behind you. Feel free to continue your file onwards. The Aetherpool you gained should be enough to beat 11 to 20. If you felt really squishy though, you can repeat 1 to 10 on your second file for Aetherpool farming. This set is the first one where you might find some fragments for Orthos potions starting from floor 14 in bronze chests. Mimics are still found in bronze chests as well and are stunnable. This floor set is much easier than 1 to 10, and hugging the walls is still quite safe when moving around. You'll need to save up to 8 minutes for the boss if going as a tank with no offensive protomanders or demiclones, but the boss can be done in less than 3 minutes with a DPS job, strength, and a demiclone. Try to get yourself to level 90 before the boss for better damage scaling. The respawn time on this floor set is still 1 minute. It is worth noting that this floor set can have a high number of landmines, so if you're comfortable with landmine explosions on a job you're playing and have an extra sight, you could utilize them to save time. Check the end of chapter 1 for landmine play tips if you need them. Also, this set you're already entering with some protomanders in your inventory. Keep 1 strength and steel for the boss, and feel free to use fortunes, affluences, flights, lethargies, storms, dreads, and even a raising if you get more than 1 at any point. Fishing out as many chests as possible will give you more Aetherpool and more items to help you speed up the floors and the bosses. Whenever you have more than 1 strength and steel, keep them active while on the floor set. On this floor set, there aren't any enemies that are designed to surprise you if you're fighting them face on. Take notice of the proximity inside monsters on the overlay so you can easily focus them or avoid them if needed. Telegraphs are well marked, and simply respecting them should get you through just fine. Most of the monsters have side aggro except for the 2 elegant nodes, which are proximity. The orb, microsystem, does a line AoE that cannot be line of sighted, so avoid it normally. Other than these 2, one enemy to take consideration of is the Sawtooth. It is very simple, but if you go behind it, you'll bait an ability called Mean Thrash, which is a quick late telegraphed conal, so try to not go behind him and get caught off guard. The boss of this set, Loading Node, can be tricky for the first few times, as it features many telegraphs coming from different sides of the arena and requiring relatively quick reaction. It is highly advised to use a steel during this fight, and to make the fight shorter with a strength and a demiclone if possible. If you have multiple demiclones to choose from, I advise using Une or Onion Knight on the bosses for healing reasons. The sides of the arena will feature these Sawtooths, which will do a conal AoE each after the boss casts Offensive Command. The safe spot is always next to a tethered Sawtooth that doesn't have a tether across from it. Immediately after this attack, the boss will target you with a line AoE, so prepare to move. When he casts Order Relay, the boss will first tether half of the Sawtooth, then the other half, marking the order of their conals. Best way to avoid these is to stand in the safe pizza slice in the first order, then dodge into the flame conal when it goes off to avoid the second order. If you have a Doga Demiclone and about 6 minutes on the instance timer, you can even fully focus on the mechanics and survivability, as Doga can defeat the boss alone in the allotted time. The boss is very repetitive, so you'll learn to dance with the repetition, and just try to not get hit by multiple conals at once. With steel, you can survive getting hit by one at a time. Welcome to the last set of the story floors, and floors that will soon become your checkpoint floors. We're still dealing with a 1-minute respawn timer, but the floor layout has now changed. For the most part, hugging the walls is still very safe, but be a bit extra careful to move around these plus-shaped rooms. They can have traps close to the middle, so putting your toe a bit further in than the wall can often trigger them. In a room where the exit is placed towards the middle like this, always approach the exit in a straight line directly behind it, from the closest wall. So far, I've never triggered a trap this way. This floor set has a large number of monsters that can surprise you with insta-kill mechanics if you don't anticipate them. Mimics here spawn in bronze chests. It is worth noting that this floor set can have a high number of landmines, so if you're comfortable with landmine explosions on a job you're playing and have an extra sight, you could utilize them to save time. Lethargy can be useful here to learn the late telegraph abilities and to provide extra defense when dealing with nasty debuffs while wanting to save a steal for the boss. Just like the previous set, you're already entering with some protomenders in your inventory. Keep 1 strength and steel for the boss, and feel free to use fortunes, affluences, flights, lethargies, storms, dreads, and even a raising if you get more than 1 at any point. Fishing out as many chests as possible will give you more Aetherpool and more items to help you speed up the floors and the boss. Whenever you have more than 1 strength and steel, keep them active while on the floor set. This is your final set before having to Aetherpool farm, so use all of the items you have left. With some luck, you won't have to do a lot of fighting your first time at all. On this floor set, take extra care of Ortho Demolishers, Lesser Ortho Dragons, Ortho Knights, and Vanaras. Ortho Demolishers have proximity aggro, and they will be casting these relatively quick, thin line AoEs all the time, which you want to avoid. Once they fall under 30% HP, they will start enraging with a self-detonate. This will kill you if you don't kill them first, but you can also line of sight the explosions and let them self-detonate, saving you some killing time. Lesser Orthos Dragons are patrols with side aggro, which do a delayed telegraphed huge conal AoE called Swinge. When pulling one of these, stay very close and move behind it as soon as you see Swinge. It will kill you if you get hit, so never kite this guy. Ortho Knights have side aggro, and they do a combo move which can be dangerous. They start with electromagnetism, which has a delayed telegraph. It is a large point blank AoE which draws you in, followed by head spin, untelegraphed AoE designed to kill you after the draw-in. The draw-in effect doesn't work when no knockback penalty is applied on the floor, but you still never want to find yourself close to this enemy right after electromagnetism. When he starts casting it, make sure to get plenty away and don't pull more than 1 of these unless you have lethargy on. Vanaras are side aggro patrols which do a sight tail, late telegraphed small AoE around them which will knock back you and also stun you for 4 seconds if you even manage to survive it. As soon as it crunches down to cast it, get away from it. The boss of this set, Tiamat's Clone, is a mechanically relatively simple boss that is a proper HP sponge. Again, for the boss, you'll want to save up anywhere from 4 to 10 minutes, depending on your job and whether you're using protomanders or demiclones. Doga can defeat the boss in 8 minutes with no player assistance. Pay attention to its cast, as some telegraphs are a bit delayed. Though nothing should kill you here outright, getting hit by stuff applies vuln stacks, which can add up. It is very worth having steel for this boss, as well as some hyper potions and self-sustaining abilities. For Wormtail, stay out of the middle. For Wormwing, stay in the middle. Both of these, as well as Creature of Darkness, spawn a bunch of ghostly heads that are linearly traversing the arena. Avoid them by going through a safe line and then standing behind any head that just passed. Dark Mega Flare is the most chaotic mechanic. The boss will cover the arena in random circle telegraphs 4 times in a row, and you'll need to quickly move into safe spots. Each explosion also summons ghostly heads that begin moving towards you, so you can't just stand still and tank everything. Waymorn will first put a marker on you, which you want to move towards some edge of the arena. After the first AoE, keep moving in a straight line away from it, because these AoEs will keep following you for a while. If you go from one edge of the arena to the other, they will never reach you. Once you clear this boss, you'll get an Aetherpool fragment each time, which can be exchanged for 20 Orthos potions outside. You'll also get some Aetherpool stats, which help your damage and defense, so our next step will be to work on both of these. Get more stats and get more potions before moving on. As just mentioned, the boss on floor 30 drops both an Aetherpool fragment and some Aetherpool stats, and since you've now finished the story floors, the checkpoint at floor 21 is available to you. Depending on the time of day and the busyness of your data center, you could queue into 21 to 30 matched parties and see if you can get any quick parties to get through this content a few times. Most likely not, as floors 21 to 30 tend to be a slow leveling method for most people, so not many players are doing this content in such parties. Opening a party finder for this will likely be your best bet, but if going with a party isn't an option, you can go solo in a fixed party. Each run will take you about 30 minutes, mostly depending on how lucky you get with items, and I highly suggest going with the DPS job to make it speedier. Try to go with a job that has some sustainability though, like Red Mage, especially while your Aetherpool is still on the lower side while you don't have many Orthos potions. Once you're comfortable with all of the enemy mechanics, you can consider going as a healer or a tank and try multi-pulling or landmine plays. Open all of the bronze chests on floors 24 to 29 and open all of the silver chests from 21 to 29 for a chance of random Aetherpool upgrade or a demiclone, which might significantly speed up the boss. Don't hesitate to use items you find along the way. If you happen to find the raising, also use it while Aetherpool farming. Try to have a strength and a steel for the boss each time, and if you can, a demiclone. If you're alone, save one demiclone for the boss, ideally Une, and use the rest of those you find to speed up the floors. Fortunes and affluences can help you get more chests on average, so use those whenever you can and try to only kill as many monsters as it's necessary to open the key forwards. Your goal is to get to at least 50 through 55 Aetherpool before you move on to the next floors comfortably. You can continue onwards with less, but it's going to be noticeably harder. Remember, this also helps you farm Orthos potions, so it is worth it in long term. Those potions pay off on the later floors, especially during bosses. Depending on how much Aetherpool you've gotten while getting to the checkpoint, this may take you 5 to 8 runs or about 2.5 to 4 hours if going all alone and utilizing protomanders you get efficiently. Once you're ready to progress further, you can start a file from 21 or from 1, as we discussed in an earlier chapter. This time, don't overuse your items. Keep stuff at 2 or 3 so you can tackle 31 plus more easily. Also, once you start progressing further, feel free to do it on any job. At this point, you should have enough Aetherpool and potions to not struggle with any boss on any job. If you start from floor 1, use your fortunes and affluences for floors 7 to 9 on the first set to maximize chances of finding some demiclones and useful items to speed up bosses on later floors. Welcome to one of the, in my opinion, most annoying floor sets. At the very least, the boss of this floor set has a low health pool, so it is relatively quick compared to other bosses. This is the first floor where respawn timer jumps up to 10 minutes, which is great. This is also the first floor set where mimics are found in silver coffers, and they are still stunnable. On this floor set, a lot of enemies can surprise you with lethal attacks, and many have proximity aggro. Arm yourself with patience, and if it is your first time here, it is worth popping doing a raising. Ortho bugs have proximity aggro and are very easy in terms of mechanics, but they hit surprisingly hard and absorb some of the dealt damage. Don't underestimate their damage and pull more than one ever. Ortho chimeras start appearing in the latter half of the floors. They have proximity aggro and only do Dragon's Voice or Ram's Voice AoEs, both only marked with cast bars and not any telegraphs. For Dragon, go into their hitbox, and for Ram, run away. Unlike in the previous deep dungeons, these abilities cannot be interrupted. Mirror Knights are simple side aggro patrolling monsters which do a gaze mechanic and a telegraphed circle AoE. Simply respect both. If you get hit by the gaze, you'll be stunned for 20 seconds and essentially dead. The range of this ability is huge, so just really respect it. Orthothaurs are a classic side aggro minotaur enemy that has two abilities, 111-ton swing and an 11-ton swipe. Both of these have late telegraphs, meaning you have to react as soon as you see the cast bar. Their range isn't very wide, so you can kite these guys from a safe distance. For swing, get away, and for swipe, either get away or behind them. Ortho Rays, or General Grievuses as they like to be called, are side aggro patrols that start appearing in the latter half of this floor set. They have only two abilities, both with late telegraphs, meaning you have to react quickly upon seeing the cast bar. For forearming, stand behind the enemy or line of sighted behind a wall. For atmospheric displacement, get plenty away from the monster. Getting hit by either of these will one-shot you. Ortho Spiders or sound aggro, which do a late telegraphed AoE around them called particle collision. When you see this being cast, move away from the enemy. If hit, you'll get minimized for 20 seconds and then the Ortho Spider instantly kills you. Ortho Impews are also sound aggro and they aren't dangerous on their own, but they will adjust their position to try and knock back you into unwanted directions. Once it starts using Kneeling Snath, make sure your back is turned to a wall or someplace where you won't get knocked into a trap or another enemy. Rest of the monsters of this set are simple. Respect their telegraphs and you should be fine. Time management might start becoming an issue in the latter half of this set, so don't hesitate to drop to 2 of each useful commander if needed to speed up. The boss of this set is quite squishy, though it can surprise you if you lose focus. For a DPS job, it takes about 4 minutes to kill it without any offensive commanders or demi-clone, and Dolga can kill it in 4 minutes without player assistance. Anytime it casts Twister, make sure to move as the cast completes, as standing in place for even the briefest of moments will cause you to instantly die. I personally like to keep moving during the Twister cast until I see it drop on the floor, because I am paranoid of strange server ticks. Twisting Dive is a AoE mechanic that also links behind a Twister, so make sure to move while also paying attention to where the boss is facing, so you don't run into the boss's diving line. During this seemingly chaotic windstorm mechanic, bait the 4 squalls anywhere, but try to be around the middle at the end of the 4 casts. You'll have time to adjust. There's always one safe spot to get pushed into from the next mechanic, which is Turbine. Welcome to the Rave Caves. Time to start worrying about wall traps that often appear in donut rooms and pillar rooms. Always fight enemies in hallways and try to utilize your starting room often. Respawns are still happening every 10 minutes and mimics are still in silver coffers. Patrolling monsters are the scariest enemies here, so prioritize getting rid of them quickly and not pulling more than one at a time. Don't hesitate to use a raising if it is your first time here, nor witching or lethargy if you need to fight multiple patrols at once. Acherons, or gigachads as they like to be called, are side aggro patrols that appear only in the first half of this floor set. They start with a conal, which can easily be avoided by standing close to them, and then follow it up with Quake, a huge point-blank AoE, which has to be either line of sighted with a wall or interrupted on jobs that have interject. Kelpies are side aggro patrols that appear midway into the set. They will charge you with Gallop, which doesn't hit hard but can be line of sighted. If they do gallop you though, they will immediately follow it up by an untelegraphed large point-blank AoE called Bloody Puddle, so move immediately away from it. If you get hit by this, you will die. Hounds are a side aggro patrol that appear in the latter half of the set. Soon after the pull, they'll start casting Abyssal Cry, a huge untelegraphed point-blank AoE which you have to line of sight behind the wall. If you get hit by this, he will immediately follow it up with Ecliptic Bite and kill you. Most of the other enemies are simple to deal with, though there are a few gimmicks to remember. Spriggans haste themselves a lot, making their incoming damage faster, so pulling more than one at a time is not a advisable. Gelatos will enrage with a sacrificial explosion cast at their last 30% HP, similar to Demolishers earlier on. This can be either line of sighted or you kill it before it finishes casting. Bergthurs are very simple, but if you go directly behind them, you'll bait a very quick and lethal elbow drop, so try to always remain in front of him or at his sides. Mudmans are going to inflict heavy on you, which isn't dangerous on its own, except when fighting it with other enemies, so try to always single pull these. Goobus will inhale you closer and then do a sneeze, so you gotta move behind the Gooboo right after you get drawn in to avoid dying. Be especially careful with these on no knockback penalty floors, as the inhale won't work there. Depending on how much deep dungeoning you've done so far, you may be intimately familiarized with chimeras. If so, you'll be thrilled to know this boss is a chimera extreme. Remember that ice equals ram and thunder equals dragon. Ram, run. Dragon means in. Ram run, dragon in. If you feel comfortable with max melee distance, you can keep the full uptime during every ram's cast, by the way. So when the boss does Songs of Ice and Thunder, this means out first and then move inside the hitbox. If the boss does Song of Thunder and Ice, go inside the hitbox first, then out. For left breathed thunder and right breathed cold, you're likely standing in front of the boss as you're tanking it while solo, so just move to the side with the mechanic names. If it says left, go left. If you're behind the boss for any reason, go opposite. When you get tethered to the boss, you want to move away to reduce the damage from an incoming boss charge in, and also pay attention to the cast bar. If it says thunderous cold, stay close and then move out. If it says cold thunder, immediately after the charge, move away from the boss and then go back in. When you get tethered to an orb, kite it around the boss. If the orb reaches you, you'll get damaged by it. It's not lethal, but it is best avoided. Prepare for a left-right mechanic right after it. If at max Aetherpool, it is possible to survive getting hit by anything in this boss other than the tether proximity damage, provided that you have a steal on. This boss is also relatively squishy. It takes only about 5 minutes on DPS jobs without strength, and tanks and healers will need about 7 to 8 minutes without any offensive commanders or demi-clones. Be careful about the wall traps that often appear in donut rooms and pillar rooms. Always fight enemies in hallways and try to utilize your starting room often. Respawns are still happening every 10 minutes and mimics are still in silver coffers. Patrols are still the scariest enemies, but this floor set is generally easier than the previous two and the upcoming two, so enjoy a little bit of a breather. There are quite a few enemies to take special care of, but plenty of the monsters on the floor that are easy to fight as well. Rock fins are site aggro patrols that appear in the first half of the set. When pulling one of these, definitely make sure you have a wall nearby that you can use to hide behind. When he starts casting Aquasphere, hide behind the wall. If this line AoE hits you, you will die. If you can't hide behind a sturdy wall or you pull more than one of these, use a witching. Lethargy can also be very helpful on these floors if you have many patrols roaming around, giving you plenty of time to react between each of the line AoEs. Yabbies are side aggro patrols that appear in mid-section of this floor set. They'll hit you with a scuttling skewer, which applies a heavy debuff, and is immediately followed up by a tail screw, which will reduce you to 1% max HP if you get hit by it. To avoid this, start moving immediately after getting heavied, no hesitation. Any direction works as long as you keep moving in a straight line. The heavy can be shielded, so if you're on a job with the shield, you can avoid both of these mechanics, though Yabby will repeat it after 30 or so seconds, so be ready if needed. Monks are proximity aggro patrols that appear in the latter half of this set. They have their classic suck in and then point blank AoE mechanic combo, so prepare to get sucked towards them and then immediately move out. The suck in is negated on floors with no knockback penalty, making them significantly easier to kite. Stingrays are side aggro, and they are tricky because they will open with a body slam, which will knock back you into a fully random direction. After this knockback, they will either do an expulsion or an electric whirl. Whirl is a donut, and expulsion is a point blank AoE, so you'll need to quickly adjust for these. Try to pull these guys only when you're sure the knockback won't push you into a room full of enemies or a trap. The no knockback penalty also affects these monsters, making them a lot easier to deal with. Zaratans are sound aggro monsters that do a combo move called Sewer Water. The first half of the attack is a telegraphed 180-degree AoE, usually frontal as you're baiting it in front. As soon as this goes off, he follows it up with an untelegraphed AoE in the opposite direction, usually behind it, as the first half was in front. So to avoid this, get behind the enemy and then immediately after the telegraph disappears, move back to the front. Important note, if you have lethargy applied to this enemy, the first half of the attack will be slowed down, but the second part card won't be. Also, the range of this isn't actually too big, so you could outrange it just standing in front and not worrying about the second half of the attack. The last two monsters to take note of are Ymir and Sprites. Both are quite simple to deal with, but require some extra care. Ymirs apply Gelid Charge every 30 or so seconds, which gives them a buff that counterattacks all physical attacks for 6 seconds. These counterattacks will kill you, so disengage immediately to prevent yourself from doing auto attacks and respect the buff. Casters and healers can keep casting, as it will not counter magic attacks, and you can keep range without also auto attacking, but you still should be careful to not come too close. If you time it right, you could stun or sleep the Gelid Charge cast, reducing your anxiety a little bit. Sprites are super simple to fight, but upon dying they do a move called Hypothermal Combustion, which is a small AoE around them that will kill you if you stay near. Essentially kill them and then move away immediately, allowing them to blow up in peace. The boss of this set, Minotaur, is kinda like a classic Minotaur on steroids. It'll do a swing, large AoE around it you need to get away from, and a swipe, frontal conal targeted towards you, forcing you to move aside. Both of these have late telegraphs, so pay attention to Casbars to move on time. Disorienting Groan is a pushback mechanic that is well telegraphed and needs to be respected. His main gimmick is an octuple swipe, a mechanic that cues 8 conals in a row for you to remember, and then he does them all in a sequence. This mechanic seems like a lot, but in reality it can only have 2 patterns, and the boss will alternate between them, facing the first one always towards you. The pattern is either front, back, right, left, and then repeat, or front, back, right, left, and then reverse. Meaning the 4th and the 5th attack will either be in the same spot, making this spot safe after the second hit, or the boss will start the frontal rotation again after the 4th spot, making the front safe. In short, when the boss faces you and starts casting the conals, move to the left and wait there until you see what the 5th hit is, then adjust into that hit. Staying close to the boss will allow you to do this with no risk. Boss will start aligning this mechanic with the Thunder Call, a raid wide which leaves behind a bunch of small thunder orbs that explode with small point-blank AoEs after they get hit by the first octuple swipe. The safest way to deal with this is to bait the first swipe directly towards the closest thunder orb, leaving you with a safe spot on its side each time. This boss is a bit more tanky than the previous few, needing around 8 minutes with no fancy protomanders on DPS jobs and about 11 on tanks and healers. Yoga can take him down in a bit over 8 minutes with no player assistance. Welcome to the first set where mimics are found in gold chests. Respawns still happen after 10 minutes. This floor set has one of the tankiest bosses in Eureka Orthos, so make sure to leave plenty of time for it at the end. Doga defeats this boss in 10 minutes without player's assistance. On this floor set, patrols are still tricky, but not as nasty as in the previous ones. The first type of a patrol is a cobra, which is generally easy. You do not want to stand behind it, as doing that baits an untelegraphed conal which will kill you. Upon dying, cobra will put a vulnerability up debuff on you, so be careful of incoming damage for a little while. Ortho ninjas are a proximity patrol that can appear on any floor in this floor set, and they are very easy to fight, but they will assassinate you if your health drops below 20%. So be really careful about stepping into landmines, opening silver chests, or fighting multiple enemies while fighting a ninja. Gauraus are side patrols that appear in the middle of this floor set, and they do 2 types of untelegraphed conal AoEs, which also do not have a cast bar. Ripper Claw is a frontal conal, which you'll recognize by Garo raising his hand towards the back. When you see this, move behind him or away from him. The swipe isn't too long in front, but it is rather wide. If you're behind him, he'll likely do a tail smash, his second conal, which you can recognize by him raising his tail. When you see this, move in front of him, orienting yourself towards the hitbox marker. He keeps repeating these 2 moves, and he can be kited around with enough space between you, or simply move back and forth if you're in a melee. Respect both of the conals, as they will one-shot you if you get hit. Of non-patrolling enemies, those to keep in mind are Pterox, Diplos, Drakes, Palions, and Phalanx. Pterox are mechanically very simple, but they keep hitting you with a stacking poison, which can surprise you if you're not managing your health right. Keep potions and defensives rolling for this one, and use your stun or sleep if needed to create some room for healing up. Diplos are mechanically very simple, but they are not not to be combined with other enemies. They occasionally cast Peculiar Light, a telegraphed AoE which grants a 3-minute long evasion buff to any other enemy it touches. This evasion buff is extremely annoying, so take special care not to fight a Diplo next to another monster. Sadly, Diplos are proximity aggro, so they aren't easily avoided. Drakes are similar to Ymrs earlier on, but Smoldering Scales apply them a 6-second buff which counterattacks physical damage and is lethal. Disengage immediately upon seeing this cast or stun it. Casters can keep casting, just take care not to auto-attack accidentally. Halions are going to quickly draw you in with a Sticky Tongue and then immediately follow it up with a Body Press, a heavy-hitting, untelegraphed but small AoE around them. In short, after the Sticky Tongue, move away immediately. You can stun them, but they'll keep trying to use Body Press until they succeed. Phalanx are very simple to deal with, provided you stay close to them. As soon as you start moving away, they'll start casting Electric Cachexia, which is a huge untelegraphed donut attack. This will kill you, and it is tricky because you're very likely to forget you're not supposed to kite these particular snakes. The boss of this set, Aeturna, is mechanically very repetitive but tanky. Don't hesitate to help yourself with a Demiclone if you have one. Since the boss will occasionally tank buster you and do raid-wide damage, having a steal on helps with managing health. Whenever the boss does Preternatural Turn, notice if there is a glow around the boss. If it is glowing, this attack will be a donut attack, so you gotta stay in the boss's hitbox. If there is no glow, this attack will be a wide point-blank AoE, so move plenty far away from the boss. Ferocity Tether has proximity-based damage, so move away from the boss when you see it, but also prepare for the boss to charge you and then do the Preternatural Turn again. Very similar to the Chimera earlier on. Roar will do many little AoEs to be avoided, leaving behind 4 crystals in a set pattern. 3 crystals will be closer, and 1 will be further away in the arena. Position yourself between the boss and the furthest crystal, then pay attention to Preternatural Turn. If the boss is glowing, you'll position yourself in boss's hitbox directly in front of the faraway crystal and in between the 2 neighboring ones. If the boss isn't glowing, you'll go far outside, between the faraway crystal and its neighboring one, a little bit closer to the one far away. You'll have to get a feel for this positioning, but if you are relatively close to the right spot, you have a moment to adjust before you'd get hit. Welcome to the last Rave Cave floor set, and arguably the most difficult set in Eureka Orthos in general. The visibility of neighboring rooms here is still bad, enemy choices are bad, wall traps can happen, especially in donut and pillar rooms, and you may even get killed by sheer unluckiness if you happen to catch a monkey casting an AoE from a neighboring room at a wrong moment. I would highly advise to using Erasing this set if you have any on hand. This is also the very last floor set where you can get Erasing from a treasure coffer, and they even tend to drop relatively often. If you're low on raisings, don't hesitate to use your fortunes and affluences here. Floors 71 to 73 have a high chance of landmine traps, so tanks and healers may consider doing some landmine plays here. For that, refer to chapter 1 for some landmine play recommendations. This technique isn't necessary, but it can save you a lot of time later down the line. Truth be told, it is rather dangerous to do this while unaccustomed to mobs in this floor set, so you can also try it with smaller pulls if you want to try it at all. You will likely use a flight or an alteration somewhere on this floor set to save some time. Take a good use of your lethargies, best on the latter half of the floors where Sasquatches and Thunder Beasts rule the premises. Storms can also be a great time saver, especially on floors where you're comfortable pulling larger groups of monsters before swiping them down. Quarrels are side aggro patrols that show up in the early floors of this set. You really want to stay close to these, as they often cast a huge wide conal alt wide blaster. If you're standing behind them, you'll bait a late telegraph tail swing, so beware. These are stunnable and sleepable, which can be of help if you accidentally pull more than one. Thunder Beasts are side aggro patrols that show up in the middle floors of this set. They are an upgraded version of the Vanaras from earlier on. This time, Scythe Tail does not have a telegraph or a cast bar. When you see the Thunder Beast crouching like this, move away from it, or die from getting hit by standing too close. Sadly, kiting avoiding them isn't an option, as they start casting a huge donut attack called Spark when you move far enough away. The best way to deal with them is to run around them, which forces them to move, so you can easily spot when they stop moving, which is your cue to adjust. You can also set up your chat window settings to show the actual cast bar if that's more helpful. Kunoichis are proximity aggro patrols that can show up on any floor. Similar to their ninja buddies from the previous set, these will assassinate you if your health falls below 20%. They generally don't hit hard on their own though, nor do they have any AoEs, but be careful not to take any other damage while fighting them. When it comes to enemies that aren't patrols, most of them have a gimmick you need to know about. Gula Gula bears do a telegraph frontal AoE that happens twice in a row. Don't be fooled by the telegraph disappearing, and always anticipate the second swipe and stay behind the enemy. Hargas are very similar to the Heaven and High Griffins. They will do a few telegraphed free falls and then cast a Winds of Winter, huge AoE that has to be line of sighted or stunned to survive. Sasquatches, which appear from floors 76 to 79, are very easy to fight, but they do a huge out of combat late telegraphed AoE which one-shots you if you get hit by it. If you see one in the distance eating a banana, it will follow it up with that AoE, so hide behind the wall. Also, while moving around these 3 floors, be very careful of Sasquatches accidentally killing you from a blind spot. Always try to pay attention to monkey sounds from nearby rooms and approach any new rooms from behind the wall. Just scout it as much as you can ahead of time. If you can spare some lethargies here to help you, these AoEs become a lot more manageable. Primalephus elephants will rush towards you and then perform a late telegraphed AoE, so after the rush, move away immediately. This AoE isn't large, but it one-shots you if you get hit by it. Unicorns telegraph everything they do, but they also knock back you 3 times in a row, which can be dangerous if you're getting pushed through a room full of enemies or traps uncovered. Flame beasts do a large, wide frontal AoE with a late telegraph, which cannot be line of sighted. Stand close to them while fighting to avoid it when seeing the cast bar. Skitines do an untelegraphed point blank called Chirp, which sleeps you if you get hit by it, and then they one-shot you. The Chirp can be line of sighted or outranged, but the Skitines are also sound aggro, so if you can, avoid them. Be careful of pulling Sasquatches near Skitines, as Sasquatch will slightly knock back you upon the pull, which can aggro the nearby Skitine as well. Tokotokos are very easy, just avoid Slow Call, a late telegraph small frontal conal which slows you for a minute. It is not lethal, but it is annoying. The boss of this set, Protocalia, is finally a boss that isn't too repetitive. It will require some focus, but it is not a difficult boss. It's got magnet mechanics though, and a few types of conals that you'll need to pay attention to cast bars for. Battlefield will make the boss's hitbox an instant death zone, so always avoid the very center of the arena when it's shining. Left word nerve is a conal that hits boss's left side, while right word hits boss's right side. For both of these, the front of the boss is safe. Centralized nerve gas is a frontal conal, and it will target you, so you'll have to move from this one. The boss will do 4 of these nerve conals in a row, and in between each, small autocannons will fire brief lines in a plus sign across the arena during each rotation. During these casts, boss will assign you with a magnet. It will either be positive or a negative. Whatever your magnet is, if you are solo, it will always be bound to the north ad, which spawns behind the boss and is always negative. This means if you are negative, you'll get pushed away from the ad when boss does nerve gas ring at the end of the conal casts. If you're positive, you'll get pulled towards that ad. You'll want to position at an angle to get close to the boss, but not all the way into the death zone. If you get hit by anything else here, you'll only get a 10% vulnerability debuff. For this boss, you'll want to have anywhere between 5 to 16 minutes available, depending on job and offensive protomanders you plan to use. Check the overlay for reference for your roll timer approximation. Welcome to the pretty floors, which finally have a lot of visibility and space to deal with mechanics. Sadly, or luckily, these floors also have no walls that can be used to line of sight anything. This floor set is where we start dealing with enemies that have absolutely massive AoEs that you need lots of space to avoid, which can be tricky to deal with on floors with many patrols. But due to better visibility and spacing, many players consider these floors easier than the previous 2 sets. On this floor set, silver chests have a higher chance of holding demi-clones. Try to keep at least one demi-clone for the boss, as it is very tanky. Use a raising upon entering the set if you have one. Respawns happen every 10 minutes and mimics are of course in gold chests. On this floor set, all of the patrols have proximity aggro, so beware. First, you'll be running into courses, which will often cast Blast Punch, a quick conal with a late telegraph. When you see it cast, move behind the enemy or away from it. You can kite it safely, but it will occasionally jump back at you with Butterfly Float. In the middle of the set, you'll be finding Gourmand patrols. These will behave like many other Gourmand enemies, first inhaling you closer, then casting a quick, late telegraph conal called Moldy Sneeze. As soon as it inhales you, move behind him to avoid this. This inhale will be cancelled on the no knockback floors, so beware. The scariest of the patrols are surely the Spectres, which appear at the last 3 floors of this set. They aren't difficult, just scary. All of their AoEs are late telegraphed insta-kills, so be very careful and pay attention to their cast bars. You'll be facing the enemy as you fight it, so for left sweep, move left. For right sweep, move right. These conals are a bit skewed towards the middle, so make sure to move far enough to the boss's left or right side. Spectre will follow this up with either a ringing burst or a surrounding burst. Ringing is a donut, so stay close. Surrounding is a large point blank, so immediately move away and don't be shy about it. You'll be swapping between the left and right mechanic with the in or out mechanic. These can be done in any order. If they started with left and then in, he can repeat it afterward. If there are many Spectres around, I suggest popping a Lethargy, as they can be very difficult to kite due to their common AoEs and challenging to avoid due to proximity aggro. The only other proximity aggro enemies in this floor set are the Persona and the Wraith. Personas are simple, just stay close to them as they do 2 telegraphs which are both easily avoided from up close. Wraiths will do a huge late telegraph scream which you cannot stun or interrupt. When you see them casting Scream, move very far away. The only sound aggro enemy is the Hektai. He'll do a few easy avoidable mechanics and then he'll cast Catharsis, a huge point blank AoE. As soon as you see it, move away from it. It is well telegraphed, but you'll have to make sure to have room to move before pulling one of these boys. Moving onto the side aggro enemies. Catoblepas are tricky as they often cast Demon Eye, a gaze mechanic that inflicts a 20-second petrification if you happen to look at it. They also cast this out of combat, meaning you'll have to keep paying attention to nearby rooms, and if there are any demon cows, casting this mechanic while you're fighting something else. They do this so often that they can be really annoying during Lethargy pulls. If you had an idea of pulling many of them under Lethargy, you may be negatively surprised that they cast so often that they barely move around and can't even de-aggro if you move far enough away. This does have some potential uses, if you want to de-aggro this enemy of course. There is a bug that sometimes doesn't load the casting animation from Demon Eye under Lethargy, causing it to just happen out of nowhere as you approach the room. Be very careful when approaching a room with Demon Eyes while fighting something else. Puddings are very easy if you stay close to them, as they do a large wide telegraphed AoE. Spartoi are going to jump at you with Umbra Smash and then do a triple trial, a late telegraph AoE which you can avoid by going behind the enemy or far away. Pegasus will gap close into you and then do a late telegraph AoE, so move immediately after they get to you. If you're behind the Pegasus, it will kick you with a rear hoof instantly, which knocks you back. Arimas do a wide frontal AoE, so they're easy to fight if you're staying close to them. The boss of this set, Administrator, is a fast-paced boss with plenty of variety in its few mechanics to make it interesting and a little bit stressful. It is worth popping a Demiclone here to save time, as well as the strength and the steel. Having no steel won't kill you unless you get hit by something, but raid-wides here do hurt, so if you don't have a lot of your own sustainability, steel will help you avoid a heart attack. The boss often spawns 3 types of adds around the arena in different patterns. Cubes spawn on the side, doing line AoEs. An orb will spawn somewhere inside the arena, doing a donut attack. An egg will spawn somewhere on the side, doing a wide conal from its position. These 3 types of adds will be marked by their turn order, so you'll have to adjust to avoid the first one, then the second, then the third, and lastly the boss itself. The boss will finish up the sequence by either an in mechanic or a plus, where safe sides are indicated by the shiny bits on the cross around the boss. To avoid all of these on time, focus on the telegraph and not the animation. As soon as the yellow telegraph goes away, you can move into it. Support systems will spawn cube adds all around 2 sides of the arena, after which parallel execution starts ordering them to do 1 line AoE at a time, one after another. As the lines are going off, boss will keep targeting you with a point blank AoE, forcing you to move. You'll want to start this mechanic on the left side, facing the boss, avoiding AoEs toward the upper right side of the arena. Once the point blank stop, focus on the line AoEs. When you see a telegraph disappear, you can move into it. Salvo script will activate 2 egg ads that are on the 2 sides of the arena without the cubes. To resolve this, face the eggs to be able to see the triangle indicators on them when the cast starts. If the triangles are facing forward, safe spot is in between the eggs. If only one of the triangles is facing forward, safe spot is on the corner closer to the ad that's facing the arena. This boss will last you around 5 minutes with a demi-clone and up to 15 minutes without any offensive additions depending on the job. Welcome to the final set of Eureka Orthos. Unlike the previous deep dungeon, this set features yet another boss on floor 99, meaning you only have 8 floors of regular enemies to fight, then a boss, and then a long walk to the exit, for which you'll need to save about 1 minute of your time, with sprint uptime. Silver chests have a significant chance to be demi-clones up here. Floor 98 cannot have a no knockback penalty applied to it, meaning you can always save a dread for that final floor, and preemptively use it on a key on floor 97 if you have no serenities left to deal with 98. This floor set often showers you with enchantments, both positive and negative, and it is very heavy in the number of patrols. Remember to use up all of your demi-clones, storms, lethargies, flights, and dreads here. You are very unlikely to be able to double dip into the next floor by using a dread, as the floors are large enough to eat away a lot of your time by simply having to move around. Keep a demi-clone for the final boss, ideally an Onion Knight, as the boss can be very tanky. Make sure you have plenty of time for it, especially if it is your first time. On this floor set, patrols are not to be underestimated. In the starting few floors, you'll be met with Orthos system Gamma orbs, which have proximity aggro. They will always open with a high voltage, which cannot be stunned or slept, but it can be interrupted. It's an absolutely huge point blank AoE with a late telegraph, so leave yourself enough room to dodge this as soon as it starts casting. It will then do either repelling cannons, which you need to move away from, or ring cannon, which is a donut AoE, so get close. Both of these are late telegraphs, meaning you need to pay attention to cast bar and react quickly. Orthos start appearing midway of this set, and they remain a patrol possibility till the end. They will gap close to you and then do either a 32 times swipe or a 123 times swing. As usual, swipe is a frontal conal, though this one is absolutely massive, so stay close to the Minotaur to dodge it on the sides as soon as it starts casting. When you see that swing cast, get away from him. Both of these are late telegraphs and must be respected to not get one-shotted. Chimeras start appearing as patrols in the latter half of this set. Unlike many other chimeras in Deep Dungeon, this one has side aggro and is not stunnable or interruptible. Along with the usual Dragon's Voice in and Ram's Voice out mechanics, it will do several different conals and will gap close to you upon pull. For Dragon's Breath and Engulfing Ice, it is always safe to dodge behind the enemy or simply look at the head that lights up and move opposite from it. If you're standing behind too long, you may bait Scorpion Sting, which is a back conal, so move up front again. Zagnals and Fitters deserve a special warning on this set, as both of them cast insta-kill mechanics out of combat. Zagnals are these Final Fantasy XIII mechanical behemoths, which are incredibly easy to fight once you pull them. However, out of combat, they do a beastly roar, late telegraphed huge point-blank AoE, which will one-shot you, similar to the Sasquatch AoE earlier on. When you're approaching any new room, take a good look about if there are any Zagnals, and wait for them to finish roaring before you approach to pull them. The good news is, you can often pull more than one, especially with Steel or Lethargy on, as they are really a pushover enemy once in combat. Fitters appear on floor 96 to 98 on this floor set, and they cast Unholy out of combat, a huge point-blank AoE that has no telegraph, and will, of course, one-shot you if you're too close. When it blows up, it has a holy-looking animation briefly visible around. Seeing that is your cue to get closer to the room and pull the Fitter. Since Square refuses to fix this, it's worth mentioning something called the Fitter bug. Whenever you use a lethargy, if there are Zagnals or Fitters on the floor, be extremely careful of approaching their rooms. There is a bug that sometimes doesn't load the casting animation from Unholy or Beastly Roar, causing them to just seemingly blow out of nowhere as you approach the room. Mining drones are the only sound aggro enemy on this floor set, and I highly recommend avoiding them when possible. They'll knock you back 4 times in a row, following it up with a huge 180-degree late telegraph AoE, which can only be avoided by getting behind this enemy. The knockback will likely cause you to be too far away from dodging this, in case you haven't positioned yourself well with your back towards some wall. They are also rather tanky compared to other enemies on this floor set, so I'd once again recommend avoiding these. Egg enemies have proximity aggro. You need to stay close to them to avoid a large, late telegraphed conal. You'll need to watch their hitbox to make sure you're standing behind them to avoid this, as these mobs have no face. Ortho drones are another simple proximity aggro monster. They'll be doing an easy to avoid line AoE, but upon dying they will blow up and kill you for standing too close, very similar to sprites earlier on. Remember to move away from them upon killing them. Mother bits are also proximity aggro. When you see them casting Citadel Buster, a very loud mechanic, make sure to move on the sides to avoid the upcoming late telegraph line AoE. Durgas are also proximity aggro enemies. They will brainjack you, causing a few seconds long confusion, immediately followed up by an AoE, which you must avoid after the confusion wears off. Never fight a Durga and the Fitter at the same time, as Brainjack will cause the Fitter to cause a meteor on you. Rest of the monsters here are side aggro enemies. Sphinx does Swinge, a late telegraph huge frontal AoE, so get behind it when it starts casting it. Its gaze mechanic is also a frontal conal gaze only. Mithrades does another loud AoE, which you can easily dodge by moving behind it. Orthonauts are simple, they only do 2 well-telegraphed mechanics. The boss of this set, Excalibur, is a fine final boss. It isn't too difficult, but offers enough variety that it keeps you on your toes. It's very tanky, so having an Onion Knight here helps a lot. A DPS with strength and an Onion Knight will still need about 6 minutes to kill it. The boss will be summoning swords throughout various mechanics during the fight, imbuing both them and itself with either fire or ice elemental damage. Paradoxum will apply a fire or ice debuff to you, the player, which you'll need to keep paying attention to as well. Caliburni summons telegraphed line AoEs in a Y format, leaving swords that persist out of the arena for a while before they bounce back in the same direction. A safe spot for this is generally going to be behind the boss, indicated by the hitbox. Sometimes the boss will jump to the side immediately after casting Caliburni, for which you want to stay close to the boss to avoid the swords going back through the middle. While on the side, the boss will always cast a fire and an ice mechanic, covering each half of the arena with a specific element, and you need to stay on the opposite side from your element while avoiding the very middle line. Whenever you see solid Soul's Caliber, you need to move away from the boss to avoid a point-blank AoE. Empty Soul's Caliber means a donut attack, so you'll have to move all the way into the boss's hitbox to avoid this. These two mechanics are often combined with Vacuum Slash, which are AoEs familiar to you from Crystal Tower Raid, either these 4 green conals or the red crescent-shaped AoEs. Their positions are a little bit hard to predict, so be on the move to quickly avoid them. Whenever the boss does Frost Forge, you want to make sure your own element is fire to avoid the ice damage that comes after. If your element isn't already fire, locate the fire swords on the side and get hit by one of their line AoEs. If your element is correct, stay in a safe spot between the 2 sword positions. For Flame Forge, you'll want your element to be ice, so do the same for picking up the ice element. The final 2 mechanics to explain are Exaflamus and Ex Glacialis, which he'll always cast after resolving either Flame Forge or Frost Forge and the Soul's Caliber combo. Locate one of these patterns on the floor and stick to it. Any of the patterns work, stand there until 2 rounds of star AoEs goes off, then go towards the boss to resolve the arena split mechanic. For Exaflamus, a simple way to resolve the mechanic is to follow the exploding fire AoEs as they explode. If you position the boss in the middle, you can use the hitbox to make sure you don't stray away from the right path. However, note that the boss isn't positioning himself in the middle for Exaflamus specifically. If you moved it slightly before, it might be in the wrong position, so be very careful. I've linked a few boss kill videos for you in the description to prepare ahead of time. Be patient, stay focused, and kill that boss. After it's killed, move on to the next floor, where a long walk to the exit awaits. These days, the Deep Dungeon community has many resources to study from, and for all of the different jobs available in the game. I highly recommend checking out some of the wonderful people listed here and watching their full runs to get a better idea of how one can manage time and resources inside. There is no recipe for a successful EO run, but the more you practice, the more you start recognizing patterns and situations that can be helpful to you. I especially recommend the DDCompendium website for a textual overview of all of the floors, boss mechanics, and some some other goodies that can be helpful. Also, a highly recommended solo Deep Dungeon Discord, where you'll find a bunch of linked resources and many passionate people to help answer questions you have from your runs. Both are linked below. I wish you all the best of luck on your journey through Eureka Orthos, and if you happen to be looking for other Deep Dungeon guides, find them on my channel.